What's up, kids? Peter Von Panda here. Hey, I don't know why this is, but you know, when you get something, you kind of want to get more of them anyway. So it wasn't that long ago that I bought my first gun because it was fun to take your own gun to the range. But I had an opportunity to buy another one, this DoubleTap Defense 9mm Derringer, and it's a little tiny pocket gun. Safety check. Barrels are completely clear, and I just took it to the range today, and I wanted to give you a couple thoughts. I don't want to make it a whole review about this particular gun because there's a lot of it, but I want to tell you, and I want to emphasize some of the things that I think are really important to know about it. First of all, it's actually pretty heavy, and size-wise, it is very thin, but it's as heavy as, or it feels as heavy as a lot of smaller, concealable pistols. But this one is 9mm non-ported. I didn't want the porting because I wanted as much of the gunpowder explosion to push the bullet as possible, and I wanted 9mm so I didn't have to start stocking different ammo. So a couple things that I was surprised that I thought I'd point out here is I actually wasn't even sure if the barrels were rifled, and they are, and you might not be able to see there, but I thought, man, it's such a small gun, maybe they're just smooth bore. Most modern guns aren't, but in fact they are rifled, and is just a very conventional rifling. So you probably can't use a bore snake on this. You'll have to push the brush through, and you just pop out this pin to take off the muzzle. I have not cleaned it since I took it to the range, but you can see there, elevated rifling grooves in both barrels. Second thing I wanted to point out about this gun is that it was actually extremely accurate. Now, I was only shooting the target about anywhere from 20 feet to 30 feet. I didn't go out much further than that. But what I also figured is, I thought, since it just has this kind of recessed groove here on the back for this sight, and then a slightly elevated bump on the front groove, I thought I was actually going to hold the gun and aim it with the top of the barrel here as kind of the my line to the target. The reality is, I actually felt like I was aiming it a little low, so I actually had to get these grooves up to, right to the top of this mark, and then I was putting the rounds right on the target where I thought, and it was pretty consistent. So the gun was actually fairly easy to shoot. You just have to kind of learn to get this back sight up a little bit, because otherwise everything was kind of grouping a little high. The last thing I want to point out is, I actually know that people have complained that it's a little hard on the hand. It gets the hand a little red. So I actually took this weightlifting glove. I actually like this glove. Maybe I'll talk about gloves for shooting a little later. But weightlifting gloves are fairly padded, mostly right here on the palm. But the gun did press right into the V of the hand quite a bit. I like these. I never shot it without this glove because I knew it's going to create a little kick. But I shot it with this glove for all the rounds that I put through it. And let me put it this way: the gun hurts like hell. And you know what? It was worse than I expected. This is definitely a gun, if you're going to take the 2 rounds and that are loaded in the barrel and the 2 in the removable strip in the bottom, and carry it, you can probably get off those 4 shots, and with your adrenaline up in a self-defense situation, you might be fine. But this is definitely not a gun you will ever take to the range and just put a bunch of rounds downrange for fun. It just hurts like hell with this glove on. So just kind of keep that in mind. For me, like I said, I'm not really concerned too much about self-defense, but this is probably something I'll take to the range, let my friends put a couple rounds through it, and that's all you'll really want to do. I mean, it's loud, you get a pretty big visual blast out of the muzzle, and it really pushes right in here. You can see I've got a little bruising there. And actually, once I got home, like I said, even with the glove on, it was bruising and hurting, and you just kind of give up. And then I ran that under some cold water because it was kind of aching. There's no doubt this is definitely an uncomfortable gun to fire, which is kind of funny because it's not so slim that you would think that it's night and day difference than like a pocket pistol, like a Walther PPS or an M&P Shield. And in that regard, I would say if you're looking for a pocket carry conceal weapon, there's no question on my mind that I would do like a PPS or a Shield instead of this gun. It's a lot easier to put a lot of rounds through those guns, and the trade-off is minimal. So you get a little size advantage here, but you get a much worse user experience. I think these things have a definite place to exist in your collection, and because they're kind of like a rifle, there's no necessarily spring-loaded parts. You could potentially leave it loaded for a quick grab if you needed it, and that's probably all it's kind of good for. But the other thing that I thought was interesting is I noticed that the trigger pull is pretty heavy. Again, safety checked already, but you know, it's that clever up and down double action. But it was interesting that afterwards, you know, and there were a lot of times I was pulling the trigger to shoot, and I thought I was on the brake, like right now, and I'm pulling pretty hard, and you really got to pull it. I mean, you really got to jack that trigger back. So I actually gave it to my wife, empty, just to cycle the trigger a couple times, and she actually could not pull it all the way back. It actually took her both hands to finally get the trigger, to get past the trigger brake. And so you know, it's another thing to consider that, you know, if you really were going to use this for security, you've got to be pretty sure that you can pull the trigger, because I don't think everyone can. Anyway, double tap defense, cool little idea. You know, it might make a good ankle holster gun. Like I said, for me, I just wanted to get it and put some rounds through it. It's not an expensive gun by any means. It's about $400-ish for it. So, you know, I just got it to kind of poke around and see what it's about. That's it. Peter von Panda. Out.